Hello everybody, welcome to 21st Century IAS Academy Delhi Campus C.A.R.E Initiative, Current Affairs through Reverse Engineering. This is Goli Varsha. Let us look into the first article for the day. Oil sinks into bear market, all eyes on OPEC plus meet. Now here in prelims perspective, you need to understand two terms. One is the bear market and the other one is the OPEC plus. Alright, now what is bear market? Bear market is when a market experiences prolonged price declines. Then it is known as bear market. And opposite of this one is the bull market. Okay, bull market. So this bull and bear are terms related to. This can be a potential question. It was already given in one of the exams. So please be aware. Bull market means the shares prices are increasing. Bear market is steady decline in the prices. Alright, now we'll come to OPEC plus. Now what is this OPEC plus? First you should know what is OPEC. What is OPEC? See, usually we observe that if there's a grouping, for example, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN and ASEAN plus, it will be members of ASEAN plus some other countries, alright, plus 3 or plus 6 or whatever it is, okay. So, ASEAN members plus 3 others will constitute ASEAN plus 3. Okay. However, in the case of OPEC and OPEC plus members do not have any common members. You please understand this point. Now, what is OPEC plus? OPEC plus is a grouping of non-OPEC countries which export crude oil. Okay. So, members of this OPEC will anyways, they will export oil. Other than OPEC countries, if any country is exporting oil, then it will come under OPEC plus. You getting my point? Now, in prelims perspective, OPEC is also an important theme. So, we'll look into some basics of OPEC and then we'll come to OPEC plus. Okay, the full form you all know, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and it is headquartered in Vienna. Alright, it was founded in the year 1960 in Baghdad, and there were 5 founding members: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Venezuela and Saudi Arabia. Now, there are 13 countries. Okay. What are those other countries? Libya, Gabon, Angola, East Guinea, UAE, Algeria, Nigeria and Congo. Now, you should understand one more thing, that countries like Ecuador, Indonesia and Qatar were actually members of this grouping, but later they came out of this grouping. Which are those countries? Ecuador, Indonesia and Qatar. So these are some basics you have to remember. Alright, got my point? And you should also remember one more agency, that is International Energy Agency. International Energy Agency, headquartered in Paris, was formed in the year 1974 according to OECD framework. Okay, why was this formed? This was formed because all these OPEC countries, they formed into a cartel and they created an oil crisis. Okay, there was 1973 oil crisis caused by this OPEC grouping. So, to counter that one, this International Energy Agency was formed in the year 1974. Alright, and India is a association country since 2017 to this particular grouping, International Energy Agency. Alright, and this International Energy Agency will also produce one report known as World Energy Outlook Report. So, these are some basics about OPEC and IEA. Now, we will come to basics of OPEC plus. Now, OPEC plus is a grouping of countries which produce and export oil, and these 10 countries are non-OPEC countries. Alright, and they are Russia, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Oman, Azerbaijan, Malaysia, Bahrain, South Sudan, Brunei and Sudan. Okay. So, highest share is by Russia, followed by Mexico, Kazakhstan, then Oman. Okay. Highest share of exports, Russia, followed by Mexico, then Kazakhstan and Oman. Alright. So, these are some basics. Now, we'll get into the MCQ. Consider the following. How many of the countries listed above are members of OPEC plus? See, Russia, yes. Iraq is not part of OPEC plus. It is part of OPEC. It is a founding member of this organization which was founded in 1960. So this is gone. Bahrain, yes. South Sudan, yes. So three options are correct. Which one of the following is not a member of Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC? Algeria is there. Brazil, it's not there. So B is the answer. We've just seen 13 countries that form the OPEC. So this is not there. Alright, next article. DGFT for allowing FDI in inventory-based e-commerce. Now what is this DGFT? It is Directorate General of Foreign Trade. Alright, and what is this article saying? The e-commerce industry is asking for change in the rules because currently such platforms with FDI can only function as a marketplace and not hold their own inventories. See, here you should understand one basic concept, that is inventory based model of e-commerce. This can be a standalone question in prelims too, so please pay attention. What is inventory based model of e-commerce? See, if the e-commerce activities where inventory of goods and services is owned by the e-commerce entity and is sold to consumers directly, then it is called as inventory based model of e-commerce. And then there is another model, that is marketplace model. Now what is marketplace model of e-commerce? Whereas here if you see in the inventory model, the e-commerce marketplaces store inventory from different brands and merchants and sellers and sell the products directly to the consumers. Okay, so this is one difference between inventory model and marketplace model. And here you should also know about National Draft E-commerce Policy. National Draft E-commerce Policy. Broadly, this e-commerce policy is concentrating on ease of doing business, boosting exports, then addressing the trade concerns, and it wants to build a comprehensive framework. Alright, and also it wants to set up a regulatory body and FDI norms should be regulated. All these things will come under this new draft e-commerce policy. So please keep an eye on this one. Yeah, this is absolutely correct. Okay, FDI is not permitted to business to consumer e-commerce. No, business to consumer e-commerce is not allowed, whereas business to business e-commerce, for this one FDI is allowed. Okay, so this is correct. Business to consumers, FDI is not allowed. I mean 100% FDI. Alright, so this is also correct. Consider the following statements with regard to FDI policy in e-commerce. The FDI policy allows 100% FDI under the automatic route for the marketplace model of e-commerce activities. This is 100% correct. FDI is not permitted in business to consumer e-commerce. This is also correct. Then where is the FDI permitted? It is permitted in B2B model, business to business model. Okay, so both the statements are correct. Now, with reference to foreign-owned e-commerce firms operating in India, which of the following statements are correct? They can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platforms as marketplaces. No, this is wrong, because e-commerce companies must ensure that none of their related parties and associated enterprises are listed as sellers on the shopping websites. So this is wrong. The degree to which they can own big sellers on their platforms is limited. Yes, to have a fair game in e-commerce, this clause was introduced. Okay, so 2 is the answer. Shri Piyush Goyal participates in Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment and Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity Investors Forum. Now, for prelims perspective, you should know what is this PGII and IPEF. Okay, now what is this PGII? In short, it is an initiative by group of 7, that is G7 countries, to fund the infrastructure projects in developing nations. So this can be a standalone question in prelims. And also, what is this IPEF? See, this is a US-led initiative. It was started in the year 2022. As the name suggests, it is an economic framework. So the purpose of this particular grouping or initiative is to strengthen the economic partnership. Okay, and then there are few pillars of concentration. IPEF actually focuses on 4 broader verticals, and those are trade, supply chain resilience, clean economy, and fair economy. All right, and who are the members? Because it's a United States initiative, United States will be there. And next is Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Philippines, New Zealand, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan, Indonesia, India, Fiji, Brunei, and Australia. All right. So these are some basics. Now we'll get into the MCQ. Which of the following statements about the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment is correct? PGII is an initiative by G20. No, it's not G20, it is G7. Okay, so PGII is a collaborative effort by the G7 to fund the infrastructure projects in developing nations. This is correct. So B is correct. The name and the purpose. Okay, if it is very frequently in news, very much frequently in news, then you have to get into the details also. Okay, otherwise the name and then the purpose would suffice. All right. Now, Belt and Road Initiative is sometimes mentioned in the news, is in the context of the affairs of China. This is very famous. Now, what is this Belt and Road Initiative? It is an initiative by China, that much we know. So, it has both maritime and overland routes. Okay. RBI tightens norms for unsecured personal loans for banking and non-banking financial companies. Now we'll get into the MCQ. Consider the following. Okay, banks face credit risk in how many of the financial instruments listed above? Now you should know what credit risk is. Only then you will be able to answer this question. Okay, now what is credit risk? Credit risk is the possibility of a loss. Okay, it will result from a borrower's failure to repay loan or meet a contractual obligation. Okay, so that is credit risk. Fine. Now, will interbank transaction have credit risk? Yes. Trade financing? Absolutely. Then foreign exchange transaction? Yes. Financial futures? Yes. Swaps, bonds, equities? All of them, no? Now, which one of the following is not an instrument of selective credit control in India? Regulation of consumer credit? Yes. Rationing of credit? Yes. Margin requirements? Yes. Variable cost reserve ratios? No. So D is the answer. Now here don't confuse this with cash reserve ratio. Both are different. This is not cash reserve ratio. This is not cash reserve ratio. What is cash reserve ratio? It is the proportion of bank's deposit that it must keep as reserves with RBI in the form of cash. That is cash reserve ratio. But this is cost reserve ratio. Okay, now what is this cost reserve ratio? It is an expression to find a company's variable production cost in terms of percentage of sales. Okay. So, D is the answer. Now, next. State of the economy, temper the euphoria. What is this article saying? It is saying that official commentators should engage with critics in appreciating the gravity of economic setbacks rather than quibble over the IMF's short-term growth projections. Okay, so what did the IMF say? It said this. In its semi-annual report, the World Economic Outlook, Navigating Global Divergences, October 2023, the IMF has revised its projected GDP growth rate for India for 2023-2024 to 6.3%, up from the earlier 6.1%. So this is the context. And this article is saying that official commentators should also engage with critics. Okay. So, yeah. We'll get into the MCQ. India has highest trade deficit with China. This is true because with China you have $38.1 billion trade deficit. Okay, so this is correct. China is the largest trading partner of India. No, it's USA. Okay, it's USA. And India's trade deficit has been increasing consistently from past 5 years. Yes, this is also true. So 1 and 3 are correct. So only 2 statements are right. Okay. Consider the following statements. The effect of devaluation of a currency is that it necessarily improves the competitiveness of the domestic exports in the foreign markets. This is correct, because when you devalue your currency, your money will become cheaper and exports will be boosted, right? So they'll become more competitive in the global market. So this is correct. When one is correct, C is gone, D is gone. Which means 3 is always wrong, because in 1 and A and B, this 3 is not there, no? You have to read only second statement. Don't read third statement and waste your time again. Increases the foreign value of domestic currency? No. Your money is becoming cheaper, right? So how will it increase the foreign value of domestic currency? This is nonsense. So 1 is correct. Alright. Next article. Uncertain future in a sea of poppies. See here, some important statistics are given, so you have to read them for prelims, okay? 3 districts in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan together contribute 80% of India's opium production. This is important. Already facing the problem of stagnant procurement rates and rising input prices, farmers are now angry with the union government for opening opium production and processing to private players. Okay, so these are some facts you have to remember for prelims. Consider the following statements with regard to opium cultivation in India. India is the only country authorized by the United Nations Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs to produce gum opium. Yes, this is correct. The Government of India announces the licensing policy for cultivation of opium poppy every year. This is also correct. Licensed opium cultivation in India is currently restricted to Maharashtra, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. Yeah, so all the 3 statements are correct. All 3 is the answer. Heroin is obtained from opium poppy. Okay, we'll get into the next article. India targets $40 billion in technical textiles. Now the definition of technical textiles will become important for prelims. Alright, now what are technical textiles? Technical textiles are those textiles that are designed and manufactured for their performance or functional properties rather than their looks or aesthetic characters. Okay, so that is technical textile. And we also have National Technical Textile Mission. National Technical Textile Mission. Okay, so broadly it focuses on R&D, research and development, and second one, to boost the exports. Third one, developing the market for technical textiles. Okay, and fourth one is to focus on education, training and skill development. Okay, with respect to this technical textiles. Okay, so these are some basics. Now we'll get into the MCQ. Which of the following best describes the term technical textiles, which has gained prominence in various industries? Fabrics designed for fashion and apparel purposes? No. Textiles engineered for functional applications and performance characteristics in specific sectors such as healthcare, automotive and construction. Okay, so B is the answer. Alright, now we'll get into the other article. 43% increase in measles deaths from 2021-2022, says WHO. So this particular fact will also become important for prelims. And when we come to basics, one thing you should know that in 2019, India adopted the goal of measles and rubella elimination by 2023. Alright, and what are the symptoms of this measles? Fever, cough, red eyes, etc. Alright, and this measles and rubella vaccine is also included in Mission Indradhanush. Mission Indradhanush, you should also know. Okay, I'll tell it here. See, it includes vaccines against tuberculosis, meningitis, measles, hepatitis B, tetanus, whooping cough, polio, diphtheria. Okay, and in some specific places, it will also cover immunization for Japanese encephalitis and influenza. Okay, so these are some basics. Now, coming to the MCQ. Consider the following statements with regard to measles. It is an airborne disease caused by a virus. Yes. The measles vaccine is given often combined with vaccines for mumps and rubella. Yes. So 1 and 2. Now, measles is a disease caused by virus. This is also correct. Alright. World needs to limit global warming to 1.5 degree Celsius to protect cryosphere. 2 degrees Celsius is too high, says a report. See, what is cryosphere? This is important for prelims, this term, cryosphere. You know, cryo means extreme cold. Extreme cold. During the launch of rockets and satellites, we also come across this term, no? At cryo temperatures, the fuel is there, etc. You know, this cryo means it is extreme cold. Alright, now what is cryosphere? See, you're all aware of this term, no? Hydrosphere. Hydrosphere. Okay, see, hydrosphere, if you split, this is, hydro means water and sphere. Okay, so hydrosphere is that part of the earth. If you consider earth to be a sphere, then hydrosphere is that part of the earth which has water, right? Likewise, cryo means extremely cold. Okay, and sphere means, again here you consider it as the earth. Now cryosphere is that part of the earth where you have frozen ice. Okay, so frozen part of the earth is referred to as cryosphere. Now what will this have? It will have snow, it will have permafrost. Alright, and what is the significance of cryosphere? You should understand a term called albedo. Albedo. What is albedo? It is the amount of solar energy that is reflected back into the space from the earth's surface. Alright, and what will happen if they reflect? What will happen if something is getting reflected? It helps in cooling of the earth. Alright, so this term is important for prelims also. Now, this cryosphere helps to maintain Earth's climate by reflecting the incoming solar radiation. Alright, and snow and ice have high albedo. High albedo. Alright, so these are some basics. Now we'll get into the MCQ. What is the term cryosphere commonly referred to in the context of Earth's climate system, and what components does it encompass? The cryosphere is a region in the atmosphere associated with formation. No, this is wrong, no? 1 is gone, so A and C are gone. Now, 2 and 4 are common, so you don't need to read 2 and 4. It means they both are correct. Now, you should only read 3. Cryosphere refers to the layer of Earth's crust encompassed or composed of permafrost and frozen soil. This is correct. So 3 is correct, which means B is the answer. Alright. So please observe, along with the statements, observe these options also. If they give you one statement is right, 2 statements are right, 3 then you cannot do anything. But if you are having options like this, you can eliminate. Alright. Now, on the planet Earth, most of the fresh water exists as ice caps and glaciers. Yes, out of the remaining fresh water, the largest proportion is found in the atmosphere as moisture and clouds? No. Is found in freshwater lakes and rivers? No. It exists as groundwater. This is correct. In NCERT, there will be a table, okay, reservoir and percentages. And oceans will constitute 97.2%, then ice caps 2%, then groundwater 0.62%, then the others will come. Okay, so ocean is saline, so it is not freshwater source. Ice caps and glaciers are freshwater sources. Then you will have groundwater next in order. Okay, so please be thorough with the tables which are there in the NCERT. Alright, this is it for today. All the best.